All right, so picking up with, what is it, what page is it? Page 20. Page 20, activity 2-2, page 20. Picking up with number 3. Says to, well, all right, so here is number 2. Did we go over number 2 in class? We went over number 2 in class. Okay, so I don't think in all of my classes I went over number 2. So I'm going to kind of pull this up here and slowly scroll. If you need to pause in order to put this in, you can. If you need to pause in order to put this in, you can. For those on this video. All right, so we got that. All right, there's me just clicking things in myself. All right, so number 3, it says interpret the meaning of the value. Interpret the meaning of the value. What is this? Why is there a textbook on my desk? Whose textbook is this? Oh, it's just a blank textbook. Okay. Interpret the meaning of the value of x in context of the problem. All right. So we see that x is the solution, right? So that's what we'll write. The solution equals x, right? What does the x equal 24 mean? If the solution is 24, what does that mean? In order for us to understand what that means, we got to understand what did x stand for. Okay. Go back and look at numbers 1. All right. What did we say x stood for? Anybody? What did we say x stood for? Yeah. Yeah, right. We said, like, up here, all right, we said that x, right? X stood for how many competitors they would need, right? How many competitors, that's what x would stand for. All right. So x stood for the number of competitors. Well, how many competitors do they need in order to break even? 24, right? That's what that means. Whenever you have the x equals 24, it takes 24 competitors for them to break even. Okay. So to type all that information there, we will say they need 24 competitors for the cost of the contest to be the same. All right. So there you see SpringBoard's answers. So especially if you cheated and got the answers off online somewhere, right? You see the textbook answer, but that's not what we want, right? The textbook answer doesn't help you. Okay. You have to explain what does x equal 24 mean, right? What does the x stand for? The number of competitors. What is the number of competitors? It's 24. And so that, since you have all that information, you can put that all together and say, well, they need 24 competitors for the cost of the contest to be the same. All right. Where did that line come from? Well, it came back up here again from up here in our stuff, right? Here's our question. How many competitors they would need for the contest, the cost of the two contests to be the same? See, that was our question, and that's what we're answering. All right. 24. The FEA Club estimates that they will have more than 30 competitors. That is very important information, that they will have more than 30 competitors. That needs to be circled, underlined, exclamated point, whatever you need to do to that, because that is very important information. Why is that important information? What does that 30 now mean for us? Hey, that's good for them. That means more money for them. But what does that mean for us? What just changed? The number of competitors. And what stands for the number of competitors? X. So what just changed? X. Okay, very good. X just changed, right? So make a recommendation to the club explaining which contest would be a better choice and why. Again, that's the textbook answer with all that stuff. All right, but here's what you need to do. Here's the math, right? Here's the math that we need to do. All right, is that we need to do 5x. We need to do 5.5x plus 34.60, right? $34.60. All right. We now said that x equals 32. Why are we using 32?
Because it's more than 30, and they said they'd have more than 30 competitors.
Very good. More than 30 competitors. So we need to use a number that's more than 30. Could we have used 31? Mm-hmm. Could we have used 50? Yeah. Could we use 6? No. Very good. All right. So we're using 32. 5.5x, we let x be 32. All right. And I'm using my handy dandy calculator here, okay? Using my handy dandy calculator, and 5.5 times 32 plus 3460 is $210.60. Now for card tower, you have 4.25x plus 6460, right, equals, we're going to say 4.25 times 32, which that is what our x is, right? That's our x. So 32, I put all of this in my handy dandy calculator, and I got $200.60. I put all of that in my handy dandy calculator, and I got $200.60. What was our question? Make a recommendation, right? Make a recommendation for, right? Let me go to my question, right? That was my question. Make a recommendation, all right? Make a recommendation to the club explaining, I don't know why it carried all the way over to here, whatever. Make a recommendation to the club explaining why the contest would, which contest would be a better choice and why. All right? So, are we talking about right now? Are we talking about how much money they're going to make, or are we talking about the cost? Right? We're talking about the cost, right? That's what this says right here, right? To help decide which contest to host, they want to determine which competitor will it cost. How much will it cost? Okay? So, looking at these two answers, which choice is the better choice? Why?
Because it's less than the Strawbridge.
It's cheaper, right? You want the cost to be less. If the cost is less, that means the profit will be more, right? So the cost to the club will be less for the card tower contest. All right, so they're going to make $10 more just right out of the gate choosing card contest versus Strawbridge. Now the FEA club will charge $10 a competitor to enter the engineering contest. Write an expression for the club's revenue if X competitors enter the contest. All right, so X represents what? The number of competitors, okay? Let's say you're a competitor. What do you have to do to get in the door? You have to pay $10, right? What if you come in with a team of 5 people? What has to happen? They have to pay $10 each, so that would be $50, right? What's the expression for this question, for the profit? 10 times X, right? 10 times X. Now, 6A says write an equation, right? I don't want to give away the answer. All right, it says write an equation to find the break-even point for the contest, for the fundraiser contest using the FEA club. All right, how would we figure out the break-even point? What would we have to do? Yeah, we would have to come up with an expression. Yeah, we'd have to, actually, this would be an equation, right? It says equation, right? It says that we have to find an equation. All right, it says that we have to find, oh, I didn't want to do that. I don't know how to make that go away whenever I do it. Maybe this is how I make it go away. Yeah, look, I can click. Look at that. I click clear, and it made it go away. I want to mark the text, and I am going to circle it. Let's see what it does to circle. I've never circled something before. Does it even circle it? It doesn't even circle it. That's not cool. Yeah, but that's just my pointer, and I do that for the screen stuff. All right. So the expression, right? If we're going to find the break-even point, right? Think of like a scale. Even is that we're trying to find where it equals. Okay. So we're going to put the profit on one side, 10x, and we're going to put the cost on the other side, right? Profit's on one side, cost is on the other. Okay. So we're going to say 10x on one side equals 4.25x plus 6460. Now you can imagine what they want you to do for B, and go ahead and try that. Go ahead and try B. You know what they want you to do. They want you to solve this equation, okay? They want you to solve this equation. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to get ahead of me, all right? 30 seconds to get ahead of me for 6B. 30 seconds to get ahead for 6B, where it is asking you to solve this equation, okay? Solve this equation. What's the first thing you do whenever you try to solve an equation? What's the first thing you got to write down? You got to write down the original problem, right? The first thing you do is the original problem. First thing you do is the original problem, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is the original problem. What's my next step? Solve that problem. Wow. Yeah, that's the goal. That's not the step.
Don't you subtract 10 from both?
Why are you subtracting 10? Remember how we talked about with variables, right? We said let's look at variables like they're objects. So X, you got 10 xylophones in one room, and you got 4 and a quarter xylophones in this room. Which xylophones are we moving? Are we moving the 10 xylophones, or are we moving the 4 and a quarter xylophones? Bryce, calm down. All right. No, not yet. What would we do? Would we move the 10 xylophones, or would we move the 4 and a quarter xylophones? We'd move the 4 and the quarter. The reason why we move the smaller one is because it tends to make the variable positive. Okay? That's the reason why we move the smaller one. Typically, teachers will, and you may have even been taught this, those that are watching, they will say move the variable to the left. Okay? That's a great rule. I'm not saying that's a bad rule. I'm saying that can leave you with a variable being negative sometimes, all right, which means at the very end, you got to still multiply by a -1. You got to move the negative over, all right, and that just causes extra steps. And so if we would just subtract the smallest variable, the 4.25 right out of the gate, to the 10x, all right, we do the subtraction property of equality, right? The subtraction property of equality, right here, the subtraction property of equality. We subtract the 4.25x from both sides. What happens to this 4.25x minus 4.25x? What happens? It zeros. Yes, it doesn't cancel. It zeros. Stop. We don't use that blanket term cancel, okay? It zeros or it simplifies, okay? It either zeros or it simplifies. When you say it cancels, all right, that means it magically disappears. It doesn't, because what is 4.25x minus 4.25x? It's 0. So it doesn't cancel out. It didn't mysteriously go anywhere. It's still 0. And the addition property, right? The 0 addition property says that anything plus 0 is 0. Okay, I don't know if that's the real name of the property. I just made it up, but that's the point. Anything added to 0 is 0. So the 10x minus 5.25x, this is where I combine like terms, right? And I subtract the constants. I subtract the 10 from the 4.25, and I get 5.75x equals 64.60. My next step is to do what? I divide, right? I divide 5.75x. I divide the 5.75, not the x, the 5.75 by both sides. 5.75 divided by 5.75 is 1, leaving you that 1x, right? That's why that x comes down. 64.6 divided by 5.75. We don't do this in a vacuum. Do it in a calculator, and you got 11.2347 ... right? All right, which is approximately, I don't know how to do the approximate symbol with this. This is actually supposed to be two squirrely lines. It's actually supposed to be two squirrely lines like this. I don't know how to do this on this whenever I typed it out. All right, it's actually supposed to be squirrely lines. Squirrely. It's a fun word to say on a Friday morning, bright and early. Squirrely. Class, give it to me. Squirrely. Thank you for the two of you that are participating. Hopefully you at home said the same thing. All right, so here we go. All right. Man, look, this is going on my YouTube channel, right? Y'all like and subscribe. All right. I'm telling y'all. Y'all got to make Mr. Lemons famous. All right. I'll bring y'all some Whataburger. See, look, there you go. Everybody just pepped up on that one. All right. So what does X stand for? How many competitors do we need to break even? How'd you get that? That's not what I got. I got 11.23.
But you can't have
Why do I round?
because you can't have half a person. You have to be a whole person.
Look, I've seen some of y'all. I can have almost a quarter of a person walk in here. I've seen some of y'all, okay? All right? Look, don't even get mad about that, okay? You know it's true. Some of y'all like walk in and half of you's missing. But no, you're correct, okay? All right? You cannot have 0.23 of a person, okay? Can't have 0.23 of a person, all right? Now, I get this every year where people are like, yeah, but Mr. Lemons, there's people that are like missing arms, right? Okay? Well, you know what? If I'm choosing a body part to go through, let's say that the part they're missing is their brain, okay? And you cannot have a complete brainless person. That's not a person, all right? So, if I round down, what would happen? No, it would go to 11, right? If I round down, it would go to 11. And would I still break even? No. No, I wouldn't. Watch. Let me click this, click this, click this. Oh, no, wrong one. All right. So that is your starter from the other day. Let me clear the canvas. We have 10x, right? And then we have 4.25x plus 60, 4.60 equals, okay? All right, and we're going to say x equals, well, what if x equals 11, okay? Those that have their calculator, go ahead and do this second equation for me. All right, do the second equation for me. I will take the hard equation. I'll do the first one, okay? Somebody in their calculator punch in the second equation, right? The 4.25 times 11 plus 6460. You do that one. That's the easy one. I'll do the hard one, right? I'll do the 10 times 11. Okay. Whew. Sorry. I did the hard one for you. Y'all gonna make me do that other one too? No. Who's got the calculator? Casey, you got it? What you got? You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. I heard 111.35. Okay. Is that breaking even? Remember, this is the profit, right? This is the profit. This is the cost. I don't know why I did a C. I mean, I know, but that's the cost. Okay? So if they would do this and have 11 competitors, they're still paying $1.35, and their points to make money. Can't be 11. So that's why we have to round up to 12. Okay? So that's why the answer to 6B is 12. Okay? That's why the answer to 6B is 12. Let's take a look at number 7. How much profit will FEA Club earn from 32 competitors if they use the contest you recommended? All right, so we're saying X is 32, right? X is 32. Remember, profit, the profit is the revenue minus the cost, right? Profit is revenue minus the cost. So let's fill in these things here, okay? We have the revenue. All right. The revenue is how much money are they going to make off of the competitors? What was that expression? What was the expression for the money they're going to charge the competitors? 10x, right? So 10x, right? 10x. Well, this is 10 times 32, which is $320. Okay. Well, what's the cost? We already did that, right? Didn't we already do that one? We already did that one. That one was what we did. We figured out the cost for in number 4. So we're just going to transpose that. We said that 425 32, all right, plus 6460 equals 260. All right, so now to figure out the profit, we have to take the revenue, which is 320, and subtract it by the 260 cents. And what do we get? And what do we get? 320 minus 260. What do we get? We get $119.40. Okay? Well, it's money, right? You don't write money like this, do you? You don't write money like that. Because it's money, you got to say that's 40 cents. The Future Engineers of America treasurer was going back through the fundraiser records on Monday. The club made, all right, so there's this. I'm going to scroll down so that way if I need to reference it, I can scroll back up to it. The club, it said the club made, so the revenue, it says the revenue was $140, selling the tickets at $10 each. One person sold, so we're going to say one person, we'll say A person. A sold 8 tickets. All right, A sold 8 tickets, but the other person selling that day forgot to write down the number of how many she sold. All right, so we don't know how many B. All right, it's a she, so we'll say we don't know how many Barbara. Right, B, Barbara. That's a good name for B. Right. So it says to write and solve an equation to determine. Okay. So what was our expression we used for revenue? What was our expression that we used for revenue? Go back up here. 10x is what we used for revenue. right? 10x. Okay? Think about, all right, what did x stand for? Number of competitors. And the competitors have to do what? They have to buy a ticket. How much are the tickets? $10. How many tickets do we know we sold? We sold 8. All right. We do not know how many Barb sold, right? But we know the total. We know the total is going to be whatever Barb sold plus the 8. So that's what we put here. What was the revenue? How much did they make? 140. Okay. 140. All right. So here's the cool thing about math. Okay. Cool thing about math is that you can use the distributed property if that's what you know. And you can distribute the 10, right? You can say 10x plus 10 times 80 equals 140. Okay. This is 80. So I will subtract an 80 from both sides, giving me that 10x comes down. 10x equals 60. Should be an x. Divide the 10. And x equals 6. All right. That's a really cool way to do it too. All right. So here is, all right, the cool thing about math is that if I write this problem again, and here's some other ways that you guys may be thinking, or just to kind of have your stuff processing, I actually can divide a 10 by both sides. 10 divided by 10 is that number 1, leaving me with just x plus 8, and that equals 14, all right, because the zeros will reduce, right, and leaving you just 14 over 1, which is just 14. And this is a little bit easier math to do. X will still equal just 6. So that's the cool thing about math, is that sometimes there's multiple ways of getting there. All right. Both of these ways are correct because I'm following my orders of operation. Well, when you're solving an equation for x, you have to use the reverse order of operations. But both of those ways work. Okay. Let's do, what I want you to do is go ahead and start working on 9 and 10. All right. Again, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to start working on 9 and 10. And then I will work 9 and 10 out on the board up here. All right. So that way you have it to check. But I need you to try it yourself. This is check your understanding. I need you to try 9 and 10 to see if you understand what's going on. Okay. So let's try 9. Use the multiplication property of equality to rewrite the equation 0.6 x plus 4.8 equals 7.2. So that the numbers in the problem are integers and not decimals. Okay. It's kind of easy enough, right? What would I have to multiply this by so the decimal goes away? Yeah, it's in the 10th place, right? So I would need to multiply this whole thing by 10. And that gives me 6x plus 48 equals 72. And that's using the multiplication property of equality. Let's see, number 10. Write an expression or equation to represent a real-world situation, and why is it important to be able to describe what each part of the expression represents? All right. Let's see. Leaving. Let's say you have friends. How many friends do you have? Let's say you and your friends are going to go do something. How many friends you got? That boy said he had 0 friends. All right. Harmony says she has 10 friends. Okay. So she has 10 friends. All right. So 10 friends. She has 10 friends. Okay. Let's say the 10 friends are, we're just coming up with a problem, right? Let's say you guys are going bowling. Okay. Let's say 10 friends are going bowling. We're in Louisiana, central Louisiana. It's really kind of the only thing you can do is go bowling. Or have hurricanes. So 10 friends are going bowling. Okay. Well, how do you pay when you go bowling? Oh my gosh, they said money. How do you figure out the cost? What's the situation whenever you go? I understand that, but we're talking about we're out the counter. They got our lane ready. We just got to give them the money. Okay. What's the situation? How do you pay for bowling? Per person per what? You pay per game, right? If you want to bowl, well, let's say you're bowling one game of bowling. 10 people, you're only going to do one game because it takes a while. Okay? You're only going to do one game. How much does one game of bowling cost? Per person. It does not cost that much. All right? It is actually probably maybe only $3, $4 a game. They expect you to play multiple games, right? But it's not that much, right? So let's say that your equation, okay? Or let's say this. Apparently this. Y'all don't know how much. All right, and that's the bell. Y'all don't know how much it costs. Hold on one second. Let's finish this out. Y'all don't know how much it costs to pay the game, but you do know that it costs $2.50 to rent shoes. Okay? I mean, that's the equation, and that you guys spent $50 or you spent $2.50 on something. Okay? What I need you to do is this weekend. 11 through 15. I will check it Monday when you walk in. Later, Gators.